Hi everyone, this is Nick Ron, CEO of House Buyers of America. Today we're going to talk about the pros and cons of selling your house as is. Before we dive in, if you've ever wondered whether selling your house as is was the right thing to do, drop your comments below and let us know your thoughts. Did you know, according to Zillow, over 20% of homes in the US are sold as is or listed as is? That means that 1 out of 5 sellers choose to list their house without the hassle of repairs and just sell their home the way it is. You know, over the last 23 years buying houses, I've bought over 2,500 houses, and I can tell you I have made more money selling houses as is than I have renovated them. And that happened earlier on in my business when I didn't know how to renovate houses. When I wasn't a construction expert, I didn't know how to renovate houses and interior design and what customers were looking for. I was kind of winging it at the beginning. And I realized because my home renovation projects were mediocre at best, I was not maximizing the price of the houses that I was selling. So what does it really mean to sell your house as is? Selling your house as is simply means that you're putting the house in the market in its current condition without making any repairs or improvements. Essentially, you're telling buyers what you see is what you get. There are plenty of buyers out there looking for as-is houses. Contrary to popular belief, your house does not have to be perfect in order to sell it. You can sell your house as is because there's lots of people out there who want to do a DIY project and save money on the purchase price. And they would like to kind of start out with bare bones and renovate the house the way they want to. Choose their own paint colors and their own materials and vanities and kitchen cabinets rather than having someone else do that for them. Of course, house flippers are always looking to buy houses that need repairs. So what are the biggest advantages of selling your home as is? The 5 biggest advantages of selling your home as is are the speed of the transaction, the cost savings, less stress, competitive pricing, and you avoid over renovation. And that's a big one. So let's dive into these and go over one by one what the benefits are. First, the speed of transaction. Since you're not making any repairs, you can skip over the entire process of renovation. You can skip hiring contractors, bidding it out. You can skip having to manage a project, getting the permits inspected and approved, getting the house perfect and ready to list. You can skip all that and list the house today. This is particularly beneficial if you're currently in some sort of situation where you need to sell your house fast. It may be financial difficulties, job relocation, or some other urgent circumstance. Cost savings is another big advantage of selling your house as is. Selling as is can save you money up front because you won't have to invest in repairs and renovations. According to the National Association of Realtors, the average home seller spends $15,000 in home renovations before they sell their property. And that can go up to $75,000 or even $150,000 depending on what the price of your home is and what kind of neighborhood you live in and how much work it needs. And so you can avoid all those and not put up that upfront investment if you list it as is and market the property without any repairs. The third big advantage of selling your house as is it's simply less stressful. Avoiding the hassle of managing repairs, coordinating with contractors, making your home market ready can significantly reduce the stress of selling your home. Let's face it, managing contractors is not easy. Making sure that they're showing up on time, making sure that they're doing quality work, making sure that they stay on schedule. We all know, anyone who has managed a construction project knows that no construction project ever runs smoothly and efficiently. There's always something that goes wrong. And so it's not for the faint of heart. Now, when you put the house on the market, the home selling process will also be a lot less stressful because buyers understand that the home is in tip-top condition. They'll be more forgiving on minor defects, cleaning, and basic things that might be wrong with the property. If you end up selling your house, the home buying company, they'll take the hassle of doing the renovation off of your shoulders. They'll take care of that. And some home buying companies even will offer you a free trash out, which means you can leave trash, personal belongings at the property, and you don't have to lift a finger for that. The fourth big advantage to selling your house as is competitive pricing. Since you're selling the home as is, you can price it a little bit lower than the market, and that'll attract a lot of attention from buyers. You'll get and oftentimes multiple offers, and you can even create a little bidding war. So therefore, they get a higher price than maybe even you would have got if you'd done the renovations. I surprised myself many times selling houses as is when we get 5, 10, 15 offers on the house, and we're able to negotiate the very best price. When you list it below market, buyers perceive the home as a better deal compared to the overpriced renovated properties. When you renovate your property, you're forced to list your property at top of the market, and that can create a lot of stress, and you might not get that price. Oftentimes people look at a target price when they do the renovation and say, well, I need to get at least this, and they can't. So they're stuck at that price, and they don't want to reduce their sales price because they feel like they have to recoup those repairs. So the house sits on the market week after week after week till eventually they capitulate and realize that the market is not going to take the property at that price. The fifth major benefit to selling your house as is avoiding over renovation. When you invest a lot of money in renovation, you feel like you need to recoup that money back. By selling as is, you avoid the possibility of overspending on improvements that might not significantly increase your home's value. So think about it. If you do a $30,000 renovation project, you're going to want to increase your sales price at least by $30,000. But a lot of times, to many people's disappointment, they're not able to increase their price by $30,000. They may only be able to increase it $10,000 or $20,000. And that creates a lot of stress. And they become very hesitant to reducing their price because they want to recoup their money. Ideally, you want to get a good return on investment. If you're putting $30,000 or any amount of money into a property, you should be getting at least a 25 to 35% return on investment, because there are other costs that you haven't factored in, like your sweat equity, your blood, sweat, and tears you put into the property. So you want to get at least a 30 to 50% return on investment. So I would say, if you put in $30,000 in a property, you should probably want to sell it for at least $40,000 more. Now, there are certain repairs that will not yield a high ROI, and most people aren't aware of it. And so if you're not in the construction trades, you might be renovating your house with things that the average home consumer will not be willing to pay extra money for. For example, you might decide to put on a big deck in the rear house, thinking that a $10,000 deck will get me an extra $15,000, $20,000 in value in my house. But decks traditionally have a low return on investment. So if you spend $10,000 on a deck, you might only get $2,000 in home value improvement, or none. And so you just lost money on that home renovation project. So what are the potential drawbacks to selling your house as is? Well, there are three major drawbacks. First one is you will get lower offers. Now that's to be expected, but what if I get offers that are so low, it's not going to meet my expectations. I'm not going to make enough money to move into my next house, or it's at the point where it's so low where I'd be better off doing the renovations. And that can happen sometimes. Some neighborhoods you're going to have pickier buyers. They're going to have higher demands and may want to have those renovations done. And the second major disadvantage, which goes kind of hand in hand with lower offers, is limited buyer pool. So when you sell a house as is, it's going to limit your pool of buyers to a certain degree, because not everyone wants to buy an as-is house. There are a lot of folks who want to have their house in perfect condition. They don't want to deal with contractors. They're busy people. And so they want to move into the property and know that's going to be in good shape and low maintenance. The third disadvantage is you may be unable to sell the house in a traditional way. And what do I mean by that? Well, lenders have certain requirements about the condition of a home. The foundation has to be in good condition. You need to have certain appliances. Even if you have a kitchen without any appliances, doesn't meet lender guidelines. You have to have the house has to be safe, so you have to have proper electrical and plumbing. There are a number of things that could prevent you from getting a loan. And if you get a VA loan or an FHA loan, they have even stricter guidelines than conventional loans. And so those lender guidelines may prevent you from selling your house as is. At that point, your only option is to fix up the house or sell to a cash buyer. Despite these disadvantages, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't sell your house as is. because selling your house as is can be very forgiving. So you can try selling your house as is for a few weeks. You can test the market, see how it works, see if you're getting bites. And if you don't, you can always pull the house off the market and do the renovation. Whereas the converse, if you do the renovations and you find it doesn't work, well, you're already stuck with those costs. You've already invested that money in the property, and it's hard to recoup that at that point. You have to sell at a higher price or you might take a loss. So what are some legal implications to be aware of when you're selling your home? Well, first, disclaimer, I am not an attorney and I'm not giving any legal advice, but these are just observations that I've had over the last 23 years of buying and selling homes. First, if you're selling your house as is, there are disclosure requirements. So just because you're selling as it doesn't mean you don't have to disclose anything. If there is a latent defect on your property, you do have to disclose that. So things like foundation problems or known plumbing or electrical, major things that could affect the safety of the property or any big ticket items. If you know about it, you're required to disclose it. Little things like a ding in the wall and a door needs to be replaced, those are not major defects, latent defects. Those are easily visible by the average person. So anything that is hidden behind the walls that you're aware of, you're required to disclose. If you're not aware of it and it comes up later, then you're off the hook. If you're renovating your home, there's contractor work liability. So if a contractor did work on your house without necessary permits and they did substandard work, you are liable. So you have to make sure to stay on your contractors, make sure not only they pulled permits, but they also closed out the permits and got proper inspections on the property. It's essential to ensure that any work on the property is completed correctly, legally, and with all required permits. So how does selling as is affect the negotiation process? When you're selling your house as is, the negotiation process has some pros and cons. The benefits is you're being clear and transparent upfront as to the condition of the property. People know when you put an as is that the house is in less than perfect condition, that it does need some work. And the more clarity you provide upfront in the listing, then the less problems you have later on and less hassle with negotiation when it comes to home inspections and so forth. If you're working with a house buying company, the process should be even smoother because they're expecting to buy houses in substandard condition. Paint and carpet, flooring are common things that home buying companies are ready to take on and that they're expecting to do. However, if there are bigger ticket items that aren't disclosed, like major heating and air conditioning, plumbing, electric, foundation issues, then that could affect the negotiation. So one of the cons to the negotiating process when you're selling a house as is the buyers are going to try to push for a lower price, using necessary repairs as leverage during the negotiating process. So they may find some issues that they weren't initially aware of, and they may blow them out of proportion. Home inspectors are really good at finding a lot of defects with the property, and they may try to reduce the price accordingly. Now, if you have multiple offers, then you can counterweight that by saying, well, I have other offers that are higher, therefore I don't need to lower my price. But there is some stress with having to go through that process, and you may lose a buyer who was expecting the house to be in better condition. Are you a good candidate for selling your house as is? Selling your house as is can be a great option for various types of homeowners, and so we'll dive into whether this might be for you. Any homeowner who doesn't have the time, money, or expertise to manage a construction renovation project, then selling your house as is may be a perfect option for you. If you don't have years of construction experience or interior design experience, if you haven't been a realtor for years, that sort of thing, then you may be better off to sell your house as is, because with the lack of expertise, you're going to make some mistakes. You're not going to know how to manage the process as efficiently as someone who has lots of industry experience. And you might not know what kind of colors to pick and what kind of materials and cabinets that are attractive to the market these days. You may pick something that is attractive to you, but your taste may not match the average buyer out there. There may be a generational gap. Maybe the person you're selling it to, your ideal customer, is 15, 20 years younger than you, who has different tastes. People who inherit a house and don't wish to keep it, especially if it requires significant updates and repairs, are usually a really good candidate for selling a house as is. Most people we run into who sell their house that they've inherited or in probate typically sell it as is, because you have multiple siblings who have different interests, And it's just easier if everyone get on the same page and decide to sell it as is. If you have 2, 3, or 4 siblings trying to agree on a home and construction project and what kind of materials and colors and who's going to manage the process and all those kind of ins and outs of construction, that can be very difficult. So often cases, they decide to sell it as is, maybe sell a little bit of a discount, but it's just simpler and easier for everyone, especially when the person is out of state. That property might be out of state and you have multiple heirs that are in different states who can't manage a construction project very efficiently. Now, some of you may be a good candidate for selling your house after you renovate it. If you have a lot of experience in construction or interior design, if you've been a realtor for many years or contractor, this may be a really good option for you. If you can deal with the hassle of the home renovation project, if you have time on your side, then you may be an ideal candidate for renovating your house. But I will caution, a lot of people who are good at construction or even in the trades, maybe you run a construction company, doesn't necessarily mean that you can renovate the house to market value. You need to have experience with renovating a house based on what the latest customers' tastes and needs are. And so that's why someone like a realtor who's sold many houses and understands what buyers are looking for may be a better candidate for doing a home renovation before they sell the house. But if you don't have that kind of experience, you should probably leave it to the experts. So what should homeowners consider before selling your house as is? Before deciding whether to sell your house as is, it's important to weigh the pros and cons carefully. While I do believe selling your house as is has a tremendous number of benefits, if you have the knowledge and experience of renovating your house, you might be better off that way. So consider the condition of your home. If the house is in great shape and needs only a little bit of minor touch-up, you may be better off just doing some of those minor repairs, which some of them you could do yourself, and just moving forward with a renovated sale. Consider the urgency of the sale. Consider your financial situation. If you have a lot of urgency and you need to sell fast, or if you need the money quickly for some sort of financial reason, then selling your house as is would be a very good option. Consider if you have the time and money to renovate the house. Do you have the patience for renovating the house and dealing with all the ins and outs, complications that always happen in the construction project? Consider that. And last, consider if you have the knowledge and experience to sell your house as is. Renovating a house is not for the faint of heart. And unless you have the expertise and understand the ins and outs of a project, how to manage contractors and how to choose the right materials and the right paint colors and how to manage the permitting process and inspections and making sure things are getting done in proper order to code, you may want to consider selling your house as is to avoid all that. However, if you find yourself in a situation where you're pressed for time and really can't oversee the repair process, consulting a real estate professional or a company that specializes in buying houses as is, like House Buyers of America, can provide valuable insight and help you to make an informed decision. For more in-depth information on this topic, click the resource link in the description below and make sure to like and subscribe this channel for more expert advice on real estate. Thanks for listening.